Hello everybody, this is 8-Bit Flashback, and today I'm checking out some miniature consoles and controllers that I just picked up at Target. So these awesome little miniatures are completely non-functional, at least in a gaming sense, but they can be used for a keyring. And I did purchase all these at my local Target, but you might be able to find these in other places. And I wouldn't say these are official products, but they are licensed by Sony and Atari, but they're manufactured by a company called Numbskull. And the first thing I did after buying these was cut off that keychain because I have absolutely no interest in using these for a key ring. I also picked up some mystery mini Nintendo controllers, and when I say mystery, what I mean is when you buy these, you don't know which controller you're going to get, it's just kind of a guess. So there's 5 different mini Nintendo controllers available, and I did find out that if I peek through the little small holes at the top, like a crazy person, I was able to somewhat determine what was inside these, but it was still a guess because it was very hard to see through these little small holes. I was literally in the middle of the aisle with about 30 of these spread out, trying to find the 5 different controllers, and the employees were walking around wondering, what the heck am I doing? But like I said, it was still a guess, and I'm hoping I got the 5 different controllers. So let's go ahead and open these up and see if I got all 5. Well, it looks like I lucked out. My eyesight is good because I found the 5 different controllers. Now these also have keychain loops on them, but they're easily removable. All you have to do is unclip them, and then they'll pull right through. So let's check out the Super Famicom controller first, and I think this thing looks great right next to my mini Super Famicom. And that's the main reason I'm interested in these, is for display purposes, and I'm just fascinated by anything that's mini and has to do with retro gaming. Now this has really good looking detail on the top of it, but as you can see here on the side, it's a little bit thicker than it should be. And here's a mini Wii controller right next to an original Wii controller. And this also has really good looking detail on the front of it. I'll give you an up close look here. So I actually have a 3D printer where I can print small objects like this, but to get to this level of detail takes a lot of extra work. So for me as a collector and only having to spend $1.78 for these, I think is a great deal. And I've kind of got the same thing going on with this controller. It's a little bit thicker than it should be, but overall I still think it looks great. And here's a black Wii controller, and it's pretty much exactly the same, except it's black. And here's my favorite mini controller, the N64, and this thing has a lot of great detail on it. All the colors on this thing look great. There's even a Nintendo emblem that's imprinted on there, and the joystick here in the center actually kind of moves just a little bit. You can actually twist it and kind of move it back and forth just a little bit. Even the thickness on this controller seems to be accurate for the scale. It even has a slot on the back for a rumble pack. Too bad that's not included. There's even a Z button on the back. That's really cool. Here's a mini Famicom controller next to an original Nintendo controller, just to give you a size comparison. And this is probably my least favorite out of all the mini controllers, but one thing I do like about this one is that the A and B buttons kind of press down and are semi-functional. And from a side view, this is just a little bit thicker than it should be, but it still looks pretty decent. And here is my second favorite controller. This is an Atari 2600 controller. And here's an original just to give you a size comparison. And the detail level on this controller looks great. It really looks like you can push that button and move that joystick around, but unfortunately you can't. But for some reason I keep trying. And here is a mini Atari 2600 console. And this thing has amazing detail. Look at all the lettering and all those switches. It really plays mind tricks with you. It really looks like those switches should be functional. To make a 3D print a model with this level of detail would probably take me all week to try to make it look this nice. And we actually have technology that's small enough now that could make something like this functional, especially for just an Atari 2600. And how cool would that be? I might just have to make that happen. Here is a PlayStation 1 Mini, and this thing is incredibly tiny. Now the level of detail on this one is not quite as high as the Atari 2600, but it still looks great. I mean, there's no mistaking what this is. When you look at this, you can tell this is an original PlayStation. It's got some nice little decals on the top, but the level of detail on this one is not so high where you think it's actually functional. But this little guy will still make a great decorative piece, especially when my PlayStation Classic arrives. And here is a PlayStation 2 Mini. And it's kind of the same thing with this one. The detail level on this one isn't that high, but it definitely resembles the PlayStation 2. There's no mistaking it. And on the top, it does have an embedded PlayStation 2 logo. I really like that feature on it. And it actually does have quite a few contour lines on it that give it some extra detail. but it's at a level of detail where it doesn't look realistic and play mind tricks with you. So these little consoles are about $6.99 a piece, and from a collector standpoint, I think they're worth it. And here's some pictures of all these mini consoles and controllers displayed in my game room, and this is exactly what I was looking for. Some nice shelf eye candy. Alright, it's time for me to go. Thanks for watching. If you liked that video, please click that like button. If you want to hear more from me, please subscribe. And if you want to help support the channel, you can find me on Facebook and Patreon. Have yourself a great day, and I'll see you next time.